As I look at all of you, I'm reminded of Nietzsche's famous invocation to dream no small dreams, for they have no power to stir the soul. And so I thank you for showing us that the future is not something we passively enter, but something we create, for demonstrating that we can be more than individual actors engaged in pursuits that serve our own self-interest, but rather citizens who share responsibility for each other, for the planet, and must act accordingly. You're an inspiration to British Columbians, and most certainly, you're an inspiration to me. You give me hope for a better world.
To be a legend, you must have voice, to amplify that voice for others, the broken, the downtrodden, the powerless. To be a legend, you use that voice to promote justice and equality and inclusion and all of those wonderful ideals that we all share in this room. In this era we now call reconciliation, there's a true awakening among us that this is the moment to remake ourselves to be better, to be higher, to be bigger, to be more loving, to be more caring. Indeed, we should celebrate each other. And as the Coast Salish people here say, hold each other up.
History's, when I went through school, it was just dates, memorize the dates. But when you hear someone talking about the times and the problems it presented or how they solved them or where they were going with it, it comes alive. It's your voice saying how you felt, how you responded when you got knocked down, what lifted you up, because this is how people can learn. And so for us doing BC Legends, we felt that this is a series that is not only important for today, for anyone who listens to you and learns from you, because with every interview we did, I learned something new, a new approach, a new idea. But this is for the future, because there will be a time that some people are looking back to what we were going through and what the shape of BC was at that time. And you and your stories are going to be the way that this time comes alive.
Special people who have done special things to enhance and enrich British Columbia.
It wouldn't have been successful if each one of you hadn't opened your hearts, your mind, your homes, and let us in. And you opened up about the journey, because I don't know one person who's ever started here and successful. We've all had bumps, we've had diversions, we've had issues, we've had triumphs, and you were kind enough to let those stories be known. I think what we're doing is giving texture to history.
As I look around the room, I feel grateful to have known and to have learned from so many of you, and certainly to have been inspired by all of you.
It's something here in British Columbia that we have to learn very soon, that we, all of us who live in this beautiful province, are one family.
Stu has put together a little video that is just a sentence or two from each of our legends, but I think it gives you a texture of what we're trying to do in recording BC's history.
There is a reason we call them legends. That reason is their seemingly impossible talent to do what seems impossible, but their way.
I started with a big block of wood, and then as I work on them, I know every line. They sort of become like your children.
I had an order for fried chicken, and I'm going back to the Greyhound station to finish my supper. And then they said, well, put that commie away. They had decided I was some sort of threat to the local establishment.
The court went from being a very small, rather sleepy affair to being a court that was at the center of the debates people were having.
I said to Aaron, I said, you know what? There's so many people who are hungry. And I said, why shouldn't we give something back?
I made a little poster up, says, broke, question mark, hungry, question mark, lonely, question mark, come to Woodlands.
How do you laugh? It's not easy to do. But as a younger actor, it was, and that's not convincing.
I think the foreign buyer tax caused a level of racism that we can't unwind. It wasn't the solution.
One true thing, if we can't keep everybody safe, or if we don't keep everybody safe, we keep nobody safe.
We made this deal with Mercury Records, and we, put out a record, and it caught. And the reason it caught is because Randy Bachman.
Never believe a story where the headline or the first paragraph contains the words may, might, or could.
They felt I was very exotic, and I had to laugh about that. They treated us as if we'd just taken off our kitchen apron.
In that business, you learned that, have fun while you can, but it's always going to come back and bite you.
And at that time, women had a choice of two running events, 100 or 200, because the IOC said if they trained for more than that, it would be too strenuous, they would not bear children. And look what we're doing, look what women in sport are doing today.
I can remember very clearly being taught in what was then physical education, now kinesiology, and it was quite clear that women could not possibly do anything that had created sweat even. I mean, it was going to be detrimental, and that this would ruin them.
I was making the money, but my two partners were having a good time.
And I won on the second ballot by 5 votes. I was called Landslide McPhail.
When I told the federal Minister of Health that we had a solution, the minister said, Julio, you know what the problem is? You are the problem.
We were very successful, and 80%, our success rate was 80%. That means when they finished our program, 80% of them, they were able to hold a job.
My dream was to help Vancouver and British Columbia be a hub of a global network of collaborators.
I was 10 years old when I wanted to be a broadcaster. I was 20 when I joined, when I did my very first program with BBC.
As a nation, we have taken back this place. It was our choice to do it. We've created something better.
The guy came at me with a metal bar. If it had been the 90s, or even now, I would have been dead.
We can still come out on the other side feeling free.
Interestingly enough, when my wife and I had absolutely nothing, we're starting in Lululemon, and we were actually in debt, probably $1 million. We set the goal of owning a house on the ocean here and having $30 million in the bank cash, and we thought, that's the most bizarre goal in the world.
And that's about all that we can offer. I always say that I hope on my deathbed that I'm not in agonizing pain. I hope that my faculties are still there. And I hope that my grandchildren will be gathered around me and I can look at them and say, I'm only one human being, but honestly, I did the best I could for you.
You gotta wanna. If you wanna be successful like you gotta wanna. And if you wanna be good, successful like these photographer people running this deal today, you gotta wanna. You gotta wanna be a really good photographer. You wanna be a good cameraman. You wanna be good at what you do. And you have to have that, inside of you.
To always speak the truth, to always ensure that you strive for equity and equality and inclusion and justice. And that's those values and principles have led me down a path in my life that I had never anticipated.
Somebody saw me and flung a rock at me. I mean, that was a near-death experience. I've had helicopter crashes, plane crashes, falling in crevasses, just one near-death experience after another, and yet here I am. So it goes to show, lucky guy.
These are people who strive, who rail against critics and cynics, who rise up to meet the challenges that life, economics, and adversaries put in their way. These are the people Teddy Roosevelt was talking about, whose faces are marred by dust, sweat, and blood. People who err, who come up short time and again, but people who in the pursuit of a worthy cause exude energy, enthusiasm, and desire. People who by their very efforts drive change, and in doing so they enhance and improve the lives of all of us. British Columbia is rich with men and women who have changed our world.